But I've been a friend of Bobby, and he's been a foe, too. You know, he's tried to stop a couple of my jobs. In one case, he did stop a job, and I was really angry. And then about 4 months later, we went into like a depression, and I saved a hell of a lot of money by the fact that you stopped it.
You're welcome.
So I never minded. I always said, thank you very much for stopping that big job I was going to do. But he's a fantastic guy, and Bobby, we're with you all the way. And your beautiful wife is right sitting in the front row, and she's always been right there with you. And when Bobby came, I really wanted Bobby to join, and he was doing very well as a candidate, really well. He was being treated very unfairly by the other side, but he was doing so well that they treated you unfairly. They had no choice. I think they said, in order to qualify, Newt, you had to have 80% of the vote. Okay, do you remember that deal? You had to have 80% of the vote in order to qualify to run against Joe Biden. And Bobby thought that was a little unfair. That was about it. And he came on board, and we got very lucky. But you really helped, and I want to thank you very much, really. We're with you all the way.
He's blamed for giving money to billionaires and all this stuff. We hear about that all the time. But he is on the side of the middle class, the working class, the poor in this country. People. I've met every president since my uncle was president. And I've never seen a president, Democrat or Republican, that is willing to stand up to industry when it's the right thing to do, and they're willing to talk about really difficult issues and to hold his stand on those issues. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm very, very grateful to you. I've sat with industry again and again in a room with him and heard him say, we can't do that. We're going to do something different, deliver news that they didn't want to hear.
There's so much fear-mongering and there's so much drama, and this is just good news in politics from the last week. And it will make you feel lighter. I mentioned in my last video that Trump visited Saudi Arabia this week, but you may have missed the Saudi Arabians playing YMCA and dancing for Trump. Absolutely amazing. Look at that. It's so synchronized, it's so satisfying. The big beautiful bill, as Trump calls it, has passed the House. So the no tax on tips has passed, no tax on overtime, car loan interest deductible, 4.5% raise for all service members, additional 10% raise for junior enlisted troops, and tax-free baby savings accounts to try to help families out. The Medicaid reform has passed.
Medicaid will no longer be used to pay for barbaric gender mutilation procedures on minor children. And the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are currently improperly receiving Medicaid benefits will be kicked off the program to preserve it for hardworking American citizens who need it. President Trump and Republicans are protecting Medicaid benefits for pregnant women, children, disabled individuals, low-income seniors and families, and the most vulnerable Americans in our society.
No tax on tips. No tax on Social Security.
The way that they needed to fast track this through Congress, they actually aren't allowed to remove the taxes on Social Security. Instead, there's a new tax break for senior citizens, an extra $4,000 deduction for filers who are 65 and older. This one's really important to know. Unfortunately, the WHO pandemic agreement has just passed. There was no public debate. Nobody had any say in this. It just kind of happened. And most people probably don't even realize that it happened. But there are glimmers of hope. The US has pulled out of the WHO. RFK Jr. posted a video this week calling them out.
Like many legacy institutions, the WHO has become mired in bureaucratic bloat, entrenched paradigms, conflicts of interest, and international power politics. While the United States has provided the lion's share of the organization's funding historically, other countries, such as China, have exerted undue influence over its operations in ways that serve their own interests and not particularly the interests of the global public. WHO often acts like it has forgotten that its members must remain accountable to their own citizens and not to transnational or corporate interests. Global cooperation on health is still critically important to President Trump and myself, but it isn't working very well under the WHO, as the failures of the COVID era demonstrate. The WHO has not even come to terms with its failures during COVID, let alone made significant reforms. Instead, it has doubled down with the pandemic agreement, which will lock in all of the dysfunctions of the WHO pandemic response. Well, we're not going to participate in that. We need to reboot the whole system, as we are doing in the United States. I urge the world's health ministers and the WHO to take our withdrawal from the organization as a wake-up call. It isn't that President Trump and I have lost interest in international cooperation, not at all. We just want it to happen in a way that's fair and efficient and transparent for all the member states. We've already been in contact with like-minded countries, and we encourage others to consider joining us. We want a free international health cooperation from the straitjacket of political interference by corrupting influences of the pharmaceutical companies, of adversarial nations, and their NGO proxies. I would like to take this opportunity to invite my fellow health ministers around the world into a new era of cooperation. We don't have to suffer the limits of a moribund WHO. Let's create new institutions or revisit existing institutions that are lean, efficient, transparent, and accountable. Whether it's an emergency outbreak of an infectious disease or the pervasive rot of chronic conditions that have been overtaking not just America, but the whole world, we're ready to work with you. Thank you, and may God bless you, and let's all pray for the health of our children and our grandchildren.
And Elon called out Bill Gates very beautifully.
To ask you about US aid and the comments that Bill Gates made the other day, which and I know that you called him...
Yeah, he's a good man.
I know, you've said that already.
That's
I wondered...
also,
and I'm just...
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, well, he said he regrets those.
Did she really just say that? He said he regrets those. Really?
He spent a lot of his own money on philanthropy around the world over the years. My question to you is, have you looked at the data to check if he might be right that the cuts to USAID might cost millions of lives?
Yes. I'd like him to show us any evidence whatsoever that...
And there have been more small wins with the CDC and the FDA this week in regards to the COVID vaccines. They're pulling back a little bit on their recommendations for the vaccines. I just hope that that's the beginning of an avalanche that's to come. Sebastian Gorka answered questions with Politico this week, and he ended up just calling the media a joke.
It's like a member of Al-Qaeda. If you're a member of Al-Qaeda, you're a terrorist.
How do you know if that they're members of these gangs? What I'm saying is...
You mean the tattoos MS-13 on their knuckles doesn't, that doesn't help it?
Those...
Do you have tattoos of Al-Qaeda?
The tattoo did not say MS-13. I don't want to get into that.
Oh, of course it does. It's just accidents that the four symbols represent the letters MS. See, this is why Politico is a joke. This is why you are gutter press and fake news. That those four symbols that just happen to comport with the letters MS and the numbers 13 don't, in this case, represent MS-13. You're sitting here live defending a member of MS-13. That's why I regret coming here, because this isn't journalism. This is protecting those who hate America. Shame on you. We are saving lives. Sir. Why is the MS-13 guy with the knuckle tattoos more important in terms of due process than the lives of 12-year-old girls brutally raped? It's weird that the priorities shift to defending the member of an FTO, but not the children and the women.
Mainstream media has just been taking hit after hit recently. Megyn Kelly called out Jake Tapper this week, and she brought the evidence. I love when they bring the evidence.
You covered the Biden presidency aggressively throughout the 4 years, and you didn't cover mental acuity hardly at all. I mean, time and time again, when issues came up, you seem to be running cover for the president.
I don't think
interested.
That's true.
Well, I mean, we'll start with the Laura Trump issue that you referred. Here it is. This happened in 2020.
Joe Biden, as we all know, has worked to overcome a stutter. How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter.
Trump has been very active on Truth Social this week, and he has been calling for investigations into our favourites. He called for an investigation into Kamala Harris for paying celebrity endorsements during the campaign. He also posted a video about the Clintons' body count.
Remember John F. Kennedy Jr.? He was declared the front runner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found. Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered a heart attack in solitary confinement. In 2015, Walter Scheib, a White House chef hired under Bill Clinton, joined the list. His body was found at the bottom of a river, nearly 2 miles from the base of the trail he was reportedly hiking. An autopsy determined that Scheib's death was accidental drowning, but he might have known too much. 27-year-old Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich was shot and killed in D.C. this year. There is speculation that he was the source of the controversial leaked emails allegedly sent by DNC staffers, and that he may have been murdered in retaliation. Then Sean Lucas, the lead attorney in a fraud case against the DNC, was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on August 2nd. His death was reported classified, pending the results of an autopsy.
I'm telling you, behind closed doors, the FBI will be getting busy with all of those requests that Trump has been putting out there. We actually saw an amazing moment in the press room this week where a reporter asked about Epstein and the Clintons.
Over the weekend, President Trump posted Truth Social a video highlighting what most people call the Clinton body count, which is the strange number of suicides that seem to happen in Clinton circles. I have a headline here from the Washington Post that said, Trump peddles false conspiracy theories tying the Clintons to several deaths. So I just wanted to highlight real quick, this wasn't in Trump's video, but this is from the Arkansas Times, and it's the death of Mark Middleton, who was a former Clinton White House aide, who was found dead on a Clinton Foundation property. And I'll just quote from the Arkansas Times. Middleton apparently shot himself in the chest with a shotgun and also hung himself from a tree with an extension cord. So I have no idea how somebody commits suicide that way, but if the Washington Post is here, maybe you can enlighten us as to how that was actually a suicide. So anyways, that's just a lead into my question about the most famous Clinton-related suicide, which is that of Jeffrey Epstein. There's still a lot of questions around that case. You've released phase 1 of the Epstein files. What was missing from that is any connection to his ties to intelligence agencies, and that's really the whole story, that not just trafficking young girls, but doing it on behalf of intelligence agencies, and even potentially as part of a blackmail ring with potential ties to the Israeli government. So for phase 2, when can we expect it? Will it have information pertaining to those aspects of the Epstein case?
I know the Attorney General has committed to releasing those files. I would defer you to the Department of Justice on her timeline, but when she has made a promise in the past, she has kept it, and I'm certain that she will in this case as well. There's
been a little bit more justice once again this week. Congresswoman LaMonica was charged with assaulting ICE agents and impeding ICE agents. This kind of thing needs to happen because for a few years there was so little enforcement of the law that it's almost like people just think they can get away with acting any way, no matter how, assaulting agents. There just needs to be no question that you cannot do that. There will be repercussions. This woman recalled an experience that she had with Trump years and years back when he was on The Apprentice.
Trump saved my life, literally. My dad and my mom passed at the same time. I was in a bad place. I was going towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Don't ask me why, but I was. Donald Trump was standing on 97th Street in Broadway. He was at a friend's birthday party. And when he saw me coming past, I was hysterical in tears. And he gently grabbed my arm. He was like, whoa, wait a minute, are you okay? And he said, well, I don't know what you're gonna do right now, but whatever it is, forget about it. Take it out of your head. Your mom and dad wouldn't want that. And he talked to me till I forgot all about what I was gonna do. So he said, let me pray for you. So when I went to get my keys out of my pocket, and I opened my hand, he had placed a folded up, real small, folded up $100 bill in my hand. Wow. I framed it, literally, and this is a true story. He saved my life. Yeah, he did. So anybody that has anything bad to say about Trump, dead it, because he's a good man.
I've heard so many stories like this from people over the years. He genuinely is a people person. You can't You can't say otherwise. And he's impressed a lot of people behind closed doors. Here's another example from this week of Trump's kindness behind closed doors. After Joe Biden announced his cancer diagnosis, Scott Adams announced that he's suffering from the same cancer this week.
So yesterday I'm home, and I've been getting lots of people reaching out because of my recent health related news, and but I can't talk to everybody. Like it's just continual messages coming in, and I have to kind of pace myself. So I see a phone number coming in. Somebody's calling me from some number I don't recognize, something in Florida, and I sent it to voicemail. And a little bit later, I thought, I better check that voicemail and see if that was anything I need to deal with. And the first sentence in the transcription, because the phone gives you the text version of the voicemail as well. The first sentence is, "This is your favorite president." And I thought to myself, no. Did I just send the most important person in the world to voicemail? And it turns out that I had. It was Trump, and he was just calling to check in. Now he left a semi-lengthy little voicemail, just say he was checking on me, heard about my health situation, and then he says, you can call me back on this number. Now, obviously, I don't call him back, right? Because that would just be ridiculous. It just was a nice thing for him to say, because he called me. You could call me back on this number. So I didn't call him back on that number because I thought it's not like he's sitting at the Resolute desk waiting for my call. I thought that whatever it is he's doing has got to be more important than randomly taking a call from me. So I don't call him back. Hours go by. It's the afternoon, same day. It's the afternoon. And all of a sudden another call comes through, also from Florida. And I thought to myself, no fucking way. There's no way he's calling me again. And I answer it, and it's Trump. And apparently he'd heard of my situation, and he had lots of questions. I won't get into the details of our conversation because that would be inappropriate. But he was just checking on me. And he had, he wanted to make sure that I was getting everything I needed. And that was it. But at the end, the strangest thing happened at the end. At the end of the call, when he found out, the situation was kind of dire, and I was still checking out some things that might help. He said, "If you need anything, I'll make it happen." And he meant it. He was completely aware of our, let's say, parallel journeys from 2015. He mentioned it. And it was just the most incredible, weird, hard to understand situation. But boy, was it fun. So anyway, that's my story. And I'm sticking to it.
It's so heartwarming to hear because you can see that it means so much to him. And I really do wish him a full recovery. He has announced that he's beginning a treatment that does greatly increase his chance of healing. And I'll end with this nice one. Jez Dog on TikTok has started his own bell restoring company. There are a lot of people who believe that the resonance from bells is actually deeply beneficial for us. A lot of the bells from history have been destroyed, or they're just old and they're not in use anymore, and this man is restoring them, and it's really beautiful. Just wanted to say a big shout out to Jonathan and Corinne for your donation to my channel. I'm just so glad that there are people out there who enjoy what I'm doing. That's it from me for today. Please let me know, what was your favorite good news story from this week, and is there anything that I forgot or left out? I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. I'll see you guys next time.